Good morning. This is Dr. Tenzin, all the way from New York. I know it's good evening in India. So today we'll be talking the first time ever in the history of NEET PG. We're doing a YouTube live. For today we have anatomy. Tomorrow we'll have pharmacology. Day after we'll have surgery, and then followed by pathology. And last, not the least, we will have the test taking strategies for NEET. So today, without wasting much of your time, I know it must have been a very long day for you guys from your school or studying. I'm going to introduce you today, our speaker, Dr. Ankit Khandelwal. He is an MBBS graduate from KGMC Lucknow. He has done his MS Anatomy, and he is a leading faculty of the subject, teaching undergrads, postgrads, and international students for more than 10 years. Apart from teaching in online platforms like Dr. Mentors, Marrow, etc., Dr. Ankit is also a visiting faculty in medical universities of Russia and China. A passionate teacher, he's authored many national and international publications. A very well admired faculty with a unique ability to develop concept-based understanding of the subject. He operates a Facebook page named Dr. Ankit Khandelwal Anatomy Discussion. This page is solely dedicated for the discussions of various topics and MCQs related to anatomy for NEET PG and various other PG national entrance exam. He is currently working from GS Medical College in Uttar Pradesh. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Ankit Khandelwal. Dr. Khandelwal, all yours.
Hello friends, so nice to be here. So as we all know, we are right at the door of the NEET PG 2019. It's on 6th of Jan. So today being 17th of December, we have approximately around 20-21 days. So we all have gathered here to solve all your queries, to provide you with some high information. So I being a faculty of anatomy subject, so I'll be dealing with all your questions about the anatomy, telling you the tips and tricks how to solve this amazing subject anatomy. So you can clear up your exam, you can score good marks, you can score good ranks and carry your dream branch in whichever state, whichever college you wish to. So let's start with the preparation of anatomy. So as we all know that exam is on around 20-21 days on 6th of Jan. So here are a few exam tips which I being an experienced person, I wish to give all of you. I know some of you will also be experienced when you given an exam for the second time or third time, but there are many freshers also. So let's see some exam tips, general exam tips which should be very helpful for you. So first of all, in the last month, and that too in only the last 20-21 days, as all your seniors would have told you, and all the whichever person you take help, the only thing which you guys can do right now is only and only revision. It has to be revision, revision and revision, nothing else. No new thing, no new images, no new topics, no new notes, nothing, only revision, revision and revision. Because at least you must have given around 6 months to 8 months. Some students may have given 4 months, some may have given a year, some may have given 2 years. So you already have a whole lot of notes. So please, it is my humble request, do anything. Don't do anything apart from doing the revision. That's the key. That's the key. Please, for only one thing, if you can take out from this session is please do only revision. Now, as we all know that the NEET PG exams, now they ask images. So images are some sort of things which we capture in our photogenic memories. So go through the images any time you want to. On a day you have woken up, you just wake up, you have time, you have mobile phones, you have all those gadgets and all, you are traveling somewhere, you are in a metro, you are in a bus, train or wherever, you are not in the mood to study. Go through the images. Go through the images, look at the images. The reason being, there are at least 40 to 50 questions of images. So 40 to 50 questions are a hell lot of questions. So please go to the images. You know the subjects from which the images are asked. It is the anatomy, of course. Then you have radiology images. Then you have pathology images. Then you have instrument images, surgical instrument images. So go through the images anytime you wish to, because the images are really fun to watch at times, so you don't have to take pressure on your mind. Just go through, see the images. Now, uh, after this, now you have to be smart right now, because some of you may be giving the exam for the first time. Now, see, my next point is that divide the time, the left time, whatever is left is, it is your 20-21 days according to the weightage of subjects. For example, just to give you example, there are a couple of subjects, PSM, that is preventive social medicine, and your gynecology and obstetrics. Now, these two subjects, although they are not very big, but they have some medium range of the volumes, some medium mid-range volume. So they are highly scoring, and a lot of questions are asked from these two subjects, PSM, Gyn. So at least suppose if you try to understand the difference between, say, medicine or gynae, so you know the medicine is around nearly 8 to 10 times the volume of gynae. Now the gynae, you can easily score, you can finish the revision of gynae in a day or two max right now, and you can score marks. Same goes for PSM. So divide the time according to the weightage of subject. Now this weightage of subjects, where you will find, I guess most of you have this weightage of subjects, how many questions come from which subject. But for those who don't have this idea, go through the information bulletin, there everything written over it. So go divide your time according to the weightage of subject. That is a very, very important thing. That is a smart thing to do at this juncture of time, because we only have approximately 3 weeks left only. Now, some of you or many of you must have given your JIPMER exam, AIMS November exam, you must have given Chandigarh PG exam. So you know from those exams that what are the weak points that you are facing in those exams. What are the topics that were asked in those exams which you were not able to solve. So go through those weak points which you have must have noted down somewhere, because this is the time, because already those topics are difficult for you. So this is the time when you get hold of those topics, because obviously with my experience I can tell you that questions will come from those topics which you have missed, which you have marked wrong in those central university exams. Those are important. So take some notes, look for some previous year questions, AIMS, JIPMER, look NEET PG exam 2018. What are the topics that you feel that you are weak at? Because mark my words, questions are not repeated, topics are repeated. I repeat again, questions are seldom repeated, but topics are always repeated. So the key is the topic. So do that. Take your important topics which you have must have left in your exam last year NEET PG exam, and go through it. That will help you a lot. Then after that, please, last 20-21 days, you all have a lot of friends. Some are real good friends, but some are not. Some are depressed, some are not. It's a very common feeling in our, we know our countrymen, we are medicos. We are really faced with a lot of volume of studies, and all the time hardworking. We all are mostly hardworking. It's bound to be negative at times. It's okay, it's normal. But negativity at times is fine, but not in a general way that you are negative throughout the day. Whole 3 or 4 days you are in a negative frame of mind. You are not able to study anything. That is a blunder. So at the moment that you feel that some negative person is hovering around near you, he could be anyone. He could be your friend. He could be your senior. He could be your junior. He could be your any family member of anyone. Just stay away. This is the time. You don't have time to be negative. You don't have time to be positive. You only have time to study. So just study, revise, study. You only have that time. There's no time for anything else. There is no time for anything else. And believe in miracles. I know as a personal experience, I know most of my friends, I get messages from many of the students. So what to do now? We have very much left. We have very little time left. What to do? I still believe in miracles, but with my personal experience, I know anything can happen anytime. Just believe in miracles. Do your hard work. Don't think of anything else. Be smart. Divide your time according to the weightage of subject. Just revise whatever notes you have, be it any coaching, be it any online platform coaching, offline platform coaching, be it your college notes, be it the notes which you share from your friends or seniors or whatever. Smart revision, no time for anything. Just believe in miracles and do your exam. Now, this last point which I want to share is you should attempt at least 290 plus questions out of 300 questions. You should attempt at least 290 plus questions. Now, if you see if you ask your seniors who did well in the exam, who did well in NEET PG or AIMS or JIPNET, most of all of them will say that they marked at least 295 or 297 or 292 or 294 out of 300. Same goes for your AIMS exam. Out of 200 questions in the AIMS PG exam, all those who have ranked, secured good ranks must have marked more than 190 questions. So be aggressive with your approach. Be aggressive with your approach. Why? The reason is right now most of you must be thinking that okay, I am not able to recall the topics which I have learned a couple of months back. I'm not able to recall. I'm getting anxious. I'm getting apprehensive and all those feelings. See, neurobiology says you have a subconscious mind, so those things are stored in your subconscious mind that will come out at the time when it is most needed at the exam center. So don't worry about it. Revise your notes, revise your bookmarked MCQs, be it from online platform, be it from offline platform. And just believe in miracles, believe in your hard work, believe in yourself. Don't listen to anyone, any negative point. Like my very favorite senior used to say, get a reflector placed over your eardrum or in your external auditory canal. So any negative point comes into your ear, just reflect it back. So this is you don't have any time for any such thing. So have an aggressive attempt, 290 plus. Now the question comes, which questions should we leave? Only questions you should leave out from of which you have no idea. You have no idea. You look at the four options, you have no idea about the options, you have no idea about the question. These type of questions, there will only be 4, 5, or max 8, 10, 11, 12, only that much. Rest of the questions, you have some idea, you have confusion, go with it. Go with your gut feeling. Now, my experience says, and I've discussed a lot of students who have cleared exams, who have got good ranks, that the first gut feeling is 99% right. I repeat again. Supposedly there is a question. Supposedly the question is what passes through foramen ovale. So you know the mnemonic, you know everything what passes through foramen ovale. Now there is an option like there are two options: mandibular nerve and maxillary nerve. So you are confused between two. And the first thought that comes to your mind, okay, I should go with mandibular nerve. Go with it. Go with it. Even if you are confused after a couple of seconds, no, go with the mandibular nerve. It is the answer. That's only, and you will be 99% right. So these are the few exam tips. Last, in a nutshell, there is no time for anything else apart from revision. Now, what to revise? Revise your notes, revise your images, revise from all those things. Okay, so these were the general exam tips. Now, there is a question coming from Jay Singla. Hi, Jay. Will Kaplan give such tips every year? Why not? Kaplan is committed to its medical education from past so many decades. So Kaplan will do everything which the students need. So don't worry about that. Kaplan will give such tips and more than those tips every year. So no worries about it. So these were the few exam tips. So only go with revision. No time for anything else. How many hours to study? As much as you can. Some people say relax and sleep well. Fine. You can sleep for 6 hours. You can sleep for 4 hours. Whatever you're comfortable with. These 20 days can change your life. These 20 days or 21 days can change your life. Don't worry about sleep, just focus, 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 focus. Revise, 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 revise. Nothing else, no negativity. Place a reflector in your ear canal. Job done. Job done. Be aggressive in your exam. Clear? Now, after these general tips, now I being a faculty of anatomy subject, I will give you some basic principles about this subject. Well, I mean, I can't comment much about the other subjects, so I can give you a brief idea. But I hold some specialization in the subject, so I will give you some basic points. Now, as I've seen in the information bulletin, that the number of questions which they have allotted to this subject anatomy is in this year it is 17, 17. The previous year it was 15, 15. So slowly they have started to realize the importance of preclinical and paraclinical subjects. So you can see there's a increase in the number of questions allotted to anatomy and physiology also. So number of questions is 17, 17. But this could vary. Now you have to understand this thing. The number of questions is 17 allotted in the information bulletin. But look at the next point. Next point says actual questions are much more, many more than this. Why? Simple reason is, see, you have to understand what you are going to face. See, NEET PG is not a normal state PG exam which used to occur a few years back. In the state PG exam, when we used to give, it was normally single liners and most of the questions were repeated. Now it is NEET PG and it's 2019. Questions are applied, questions are clinically based, questions are amalgamation of not just one subject, they are amalgamation of 2 subjects, 3 subjects, 4 subjects. For example, anatomy, this subject anatomy is a basic medical science subject. It is very easily, but it is directly related to ENT, it is directly related to surgery, it is directly related to obstetrics, it is directly related to radiology. So it is directly related to ophthalmology also. So the questions which are allotted are 17, but in actual, your knowledge of this anatomy subject will be applied in approximately 30 to 40 questions, nearly 30 to 40 questions. Your knowledge of anatomy will be tested in the exam center. Now there's a question. Kaplan is, if you didn't know about the classes for Indian exam, yes, soon we will be able to know the things about Kaplan. Sure, they will come as Kaplan is dedicated to medical education, so wherever students will feel find it they will come. So actual questions I was discussing that they are much more than 17, nearly 30, 40, it could be 50 questions. So remember the importance of this subject, and not just this, but every pre or paraclinical subject, their importance. So next point comes, few students ask me, sir, in the last month in anatomy, I have heard it from around most of the students, nearly 100% of students say that, sir, anatomy is a very difficult subject, it is a very volatile subject. We study in the morning, on the breakfast we study, by lunch we used to fight, and by dinner, it is gone. The topic is gone of what topic we are studying. It's such a volatile subject. I know it is a volatile subject. This is not the right time to, I would not suggest you to develop concepts or anything at this time. This time is for just revision of whatever notes you have. Now, in this last 3 weeks which you have left, I would prescribe you or I would advise you to allot at least one day. Why one day? Because I told you this knowledge, the knowledge of anatomy would be tested in around 45, 50 questions. So allot at least one day, at least. You can allot 2 days, we can allot 2 days also, but preferably in the last week. Preferably, I written here, preferably in the last week. Reason, it is a volatile subject, and I know that most of you, many or more than 90% of you, it is not it is a thing that you don't develop concepts during your 4 to 5 years. Well, it is a subject being of first year, then you give exams after your internships, so 4 or 5 years gap, concepts are lost. Therefore, revise this subject. My advice, in the last week, it could be 3 days before the exam. Just after you celebrate your New Year party, you can go and revise. After your New Year party, you can go and revise this subject. Now, there's an important thing. There's a new tiebreaker criteria. If you go through the information bulletin, and I hope your seniors and others must have informed you about this. The new tiebreaker criteria, I hope you all know what is a tiebreaker. Means supposedly a student A and a student B and both securing the equal number of marks in the exam. So that is a tiebreaker. So who will be given rank 22? Who will be given rank 23? That is a new tiebreaker criteria. And listen to it very carefully if you don't know. The new tiebreaker criteria says that the student who has less number of negative marks will have an edge over the student who has more number of negative marks. I repeat again. Previously, it was given preference to more positive marks. You know, +4 is for correct option and -1 is for wrong option. But from this year, the new tiebreaker criteria says the less the number of negative marks, the better the rank in a tiebreaker sort of situation. Now, with this new tiebreaker criteria, some students have asked me, sir, should we attempt less number of questions? Now, my advice would be again, no. Go with your arrogant nature in the exam, because there are only very few questions of which you have no idea, even 1%. Only leave those questions. The other questions which you have idea, somewhat idea, maybe 20%, 40%, 50%, you have a confusion between two options or three options. My advice is go with it. Because most of the times the first gut feeling is normally the correct gut. Therefore, this was the small idea about the new type of criteria. So, in a nutshell, if we summarize it, anatomy, very important. Direct questions you will find around 15 to 20, but indirect means related to radio, ortho, surgery, ENT, around 40 questions. Preferably in these 3 weeks, which time, what date you should allot to anatomy, at the end of the year, the end of December, on the first week of Jan. For 6th of Jan, you have the exam. First, second, third, fourth, and so these are the few basic things which I can tell you about this volatile subject anatomy. Now there has been a number of queries which have asked me, because which have come to me. So what topics to study in anatomy? What to study in anatomy? Because anatomy has around 7 to 8 books, 7 to 9 books. What to study in anatomy? So in the upcoming slides, I will be telling you, because I've gone through previous few years paper, and whenever I take classes, be it online or offline, I stress always that it is the topics which are repeated, not the questions. But again, it is the topics that are repeated. So in the upcoming slides, I will be giving you few topics which are very important. So take your register, paper or pen, anything, note these topics, because whatever time you give to anatomy, the revision, whichever way you are revising, go with it. But at the end of revising this subject, just note down that we have covered those topics at least. So we have covered those topics at least. So we divide the anatomy. The first slide here is of general anatomy. So you have few parts you all know. You have gross anatomy, you have head anatomy, you have capitology, histology, embryology. The thing which many of the students leave is general anatomy. The general anatomy is that part of anatomy which is taught to you when you enter a medical school. The first month or the first couple of weeks or 3 weeks are given to the general anatomy. We all forget about it. Now, but the NEET PG examiners, they don't forget. They know where you are going to miss. They know where you are going to miss, because you should know it is an exam of exclusion. There are a lot of candidates, more than 1 lakh, 1.3, 1.4 lakh candidates are giving the exam for how many number of seats? 30, 40,000 seats. 30, 40,000 number of seats. So it is an exam of exclusion. The examiners know where you are going to miss. So go through these basic topics, general anatomy. In general anatomy, go through the bones. Go through the bones. Type of bones, go through at least through their images. Go through the type of joints, very important. Go through the epiphysis. Around the knee, elbow, shoulder joint epiphysis. At what time do they close? What are the types of epiphysis? Examples. Muscle. This year, this AIMS November question came last year. Question came image of muscle. What type of muscle? So whatever you know about skeletal muscle, their types, go through it. Cartilage. 3 types of cartilage. Their examples, their location, very important. Dermatomes. Now, dermatomes is a very interesting thing. Go through a couple of images. The ventral anterior side of body, posterior side of body. You look at those dermatomes. Now, I have posted all of these in my Facebook page also. You can have a look at them also. I'll be posting the images also, most important images. You can have a look at those also. There are other things also which are you can find in those pages. But these are the 5-6 points in general anatomy, and these are not much. You can easily go through them. This will, if you have studied for once, it will hardly take half an hour to 1 hour to finish the general anatomy. And remember, images. Anatomy images. Anatomy images. Many of students ask me, sir, images from which book? Only standard books. Only standard books. Images only from standard books, not from anywhere else. So see the images, whatever you're studying in anatomy, just see the images. So these are the few points on general anatomy. And next is embryology, a very important topic. Around 4 to 5 questions will come from embryology, be it general or systemic. Now, these are the few important topics which are asked in embryology. I'll just go through, just read through it. Gametogenesis, the starting part. Germ layer derivatives, ecto, endo, meso. Now remember neural crest also, very upcoming questions. They ask neural crest all the while. Branchial or pharyngeal arches. You have to know every word of branchial arches from page 1 to last page, cover to cover of branchial arches. You should know. Very important topic. Then few developments. Eye, the muscle of eye. They ask intraocular muscles, face development, images, CVS development, intraocular septum development, the truncus arteriosus, the sinus venosus, all those development. Images, very important. Go through my videos if you want to. Go through all the students who have attended my offline face-to-face classes. They know how much stress I give to these topics. Diaphragm, very small topic, highly yielding. In embryology also, in general also. Mesogastrium, urogenital system. Urogenital means urinary system and genital also. Then we have aortic arches, venous system. Fetal circulation. This is common in pediatrics and embryology also. These are like 6-7 subdivided around 10 to 12 topics in embryology. Now, if you have gone through it, if you revise it, it's going to take hardly an hour or two to go through these topics of embryology. Next, we have histology. Histology is all about images. Go pick a standard textbook, go through the images, go through the images. Histology means images. Now, what images? I would suggest go through all the images, but when you are revising, go at least through these points which I have highlighted. The images of epithelial lining of various organs. Very common question asked. Cartilage, glands, lymphoid organs. Cartilage, glands, lymphoid organs. Note them down, highly important. So histology means total images and images, and go through these images. Now there's a question coming out. Standard books like from Meher. Standard books like. Okay, what are the standard books in anatomy? That is the question. Very good question. I would say Gray's. At least you can go through the images. Then you have Atlas, you have Natus Atlas, you have Grant's Atlas. So these are the standard textbooks. I am not saying go and read the topics from here. The images go from the standard textbooks. These are Gray's. You all must have heard of its name, Gray's. Then histology, you have lots of books. You have Defoe's, you have Vitas, you have. Take any book. Take whatever book you have studied in your first year professional exam MBBS. Just go through it. If you are not, if you have the crunch of time, you are not able to get those books, please go through whatever book you have. But the standard textbooks, you all know what are the standard textbooks. The standard textbooks are the ones which you should have read from the day one, at least which you could have hoped to read. But this is not the time. Whatever books you are having, standard textbooks are these textbooks. Look at the images from these books. Now, histology is over. We go through the images, and these are the various things which are asked. Now, head and neck. Now, head and neck, the biggest part of the anatomy, gross anatomy. Head and neck, if you combine, becomes headache. It is head and neck, not headache. Now, these are the few important high-yielding points of from head and neck, which you should at least revise these from. You take my headache. The topics are cranial nerves and their nuclei. I guarantee you 99% one question will come from this. Cranial nerve. Which cranial nerves? There are 12 cranial nerves, you all know. You at least go through the fifth nerve, go through the seventh nerve, go through the 10th nerve, at least. And their nuclei means all those efferents, afferents, the somatic afferents, the visceral efferents, the general somatic, spatial, visceral, all those efferent afferents. And foramina and structure passing. Just last month, AIMS gave this exam. They gave the question from this topic: image, norma, basalis, foraminas, and the structure which passes. To go through the image of the skull showing the foraminas, identify the foramen, learn what are the structures that pass through. They won't ask you, they won't give you an arrow on the foramen magnum, and they won't ask you to name the foramen. No. That was the question a decade back. Now they ask you what structure passes through this or may give any applied. So they will ask you, the question would be simple, but they will be testing your knowledge. Remember, it is 2019, it is NEET PG, it is an exam of exclusion. So you have to be very clear. You have to be crystal clear of what you are seeing. So go through the images, identify the foramens. From the images, job over. Now go through your notes and look what are the structures that are passing through those foramens. Clear? And deep cervical fascia, very important topic. Its image, very important. See, image you have everywhere. Whatever topic you choose from anatomy, you have to go through the image. So MCA exams will be dealing with later on about MCA exams. So don't worry about MCA exams also. Because MCA exams done it finished off on 14th. There were many anatomy questions asked in the MCA FNG exam. Questions were decent type, not very simple, not very difficult. And slowly the MCA exams standard and pattern is approaching very close to what is asked in NEET PG exam. So the topics these topics are also equally important for your MCI exam. So you can those students who are foreign medical graduates who will be giving the exam next time, you can note down these topics. These are high topics. Then you have posterior triangle of neck, the triangles again images. Then you have larynx, pharynx, nose, tongue, extraocular muscles. See, go through the images. Learn what nerve is supplying which muscle in larynx or pharynx, and they're applied because it is all ENT. Larynx, pharynx, nose, tongue, ENT. Extraocular muscles, ophthalmology, but all is taught in anatomy. Extraocular muscles, look at the images, look at their action, look at its applied, very important. Plus the optic pathway, all very important. Then you have glands, the parotids, you have the thyroids, you have the submandibular in head and neck, very important. Remember the glands, the parasympathetic ganglia, equally important. Otic ganglia, you have major 4 ganglia, remember, go through it. High yielding topic. You have pterygopalatine, you have otic, you have ciliary ganglia, you have submandibular ganglia. Go through those ganglia. Then you have the cervical group of lymph nodes. Go through its classification. How are they classified? What are the different levels? It is a common question in surgery or in anatomy. Go through it, very important. Then you have major vessels. You have the carotids, you have the externals, internals, branches, and their branches maxillary artery branches. Their branches are asked. Then you have internal carotid branches are asked. Not just a cerebral branch, but pictures branches, cavernous branches, all are asked. Then you have the formation of veins. You have the external jugulas, internal jugulas, you have the SVCs, superior vena cava, brachiocephalics. November they asked about, and the question was from thorax about your azygous venous system. So the topic is azygous venous system vessel. Questions will come. Then you have DVS, means dural venous sinus. Their images, very important. Cavernous sinus. This is such a topic which has been asked like from decades, from so many years, and still they ask. So you need to know cover of cavernous sinus. All the afferents, efferents, the relations, the covering, the applied, the cavernous sinus thrombosis and ophthalmology, everything about cavernous sinus. These are some high topics. These are the high topics. After revising, just check that you have revised these topics. After revising from whatever source you are revising, just check that you have revised these topics. And for those who have not prepared notes and all, at least revise these topics. Then comes our neuroanatomy, Neuroanatomy, again images, the hemispheres, they can ask you gyri sulci, then images of brain stem, the midbrain pons medulla oblongata, the nerves coming out, which nerve is this, then you have circle of Willis placed over it, in the interpeduncular fossa, they will ask you the name of the arteries, the nerve in between the arteries, and questions could be anything. So images, that's why I tell you, go through the standard textbooks. You know what are the standard textbooks, that is not a big deal. You all have those soft copies of, just grab those soft copies. Look at those images, just look. You are not in a mood to study, no problem, look at the images. Then you have cerebellum, you have the cut section of cerebellum, you have the horizontal section in brain showing the internal capsule and all those. Look at the images. Take a atlas, open it, look at the image. Another important topic in neuroanatomy, you have functional areas of brain, very high yielding topic. All those Prodman's number, their functions, can ask you anything. White matter of cerebellum. The white matter is when the axons which are traveling inside the cerebellum, those fibers, the projection, the association, commissural, high yield topic. So you see, this neuroanatomy is not just anatomy; it is neuromedicine. It is neuroanesthesia or any neuroradiology. So neuro is neuro. That is why I told you this exam is amalgamation. It is not just anatomy, it is everything. So this is covering everything, because anatomy is the basic. Then you have circle of Willis, very important. You have the tracts, ascending, descending tracts, very, very important. Their legends. If you go through my Facebook page, if you have time, let's go through it. Just see how to approach to a vascular lesion in a brain stem. What are the signs, symptoms, and how to learn it, how to have a conceptual idea. If you're having trouble in remembering those names, those symptoms, signs of lateral medullary syndrome, medial medullary, you have the medial pontine syndrome, and all those syndromes, Weber and all. Have a look. Have a look. You will develop some concepts about those lesions in the brainstem, the vascular lesion. Very important topic. You can say it is a question of medicine. You can say it is a question of anatomy. At the end, it is a question of NEET PG. That is what is important. You have to clear the exam. You have to get good rank. Then you have ventricles of brain. All those ventricles. You have lateral ventricles. You have third ventricle, fourth ventricle. Go through the images. Look what is related to what structure. Go through the images. After neuro, we'll jump to the thorax part. So in thorax we have the thoracic wall and its vascular supply. In thorax, we have the thoracic wall. This November only they gave the question about this iris vein. I think the question was about the left superior intercostal vein drains into which vein. That was the exact question. Go through the images. What are the structures in the wall? What are the vascular supply? What is the arterial? What is the venous drainage? What is sympathetic chain doing over there? What is planktonic? Read it. Intercostal spaces, as I just told you. Heart is cardio. Cardio is everywhere in the vascular supply. The coronary sinus, the coronary arteries, the veins, vascular supply of heart are very, very important. Plus, I want to pinpoint over here and just note it down, bold, write in bold, underline it. Surface marking. What? Surface marking. This is a new trend. In the past few years, they have started asking you the surface marking of different structures. Because let me tell you one very important thing. This exam is testing your applied knowledge, and the best application of this anatomy subject is to know the surface marking of the organ inside our body. Therefore, the surface marking of supposedly the heart, they can ask you the valves. They can ask you the surface marking of the fissures of lung. They can ask you surface marking of anything. So if you have time, if you have notes, fine. If you have time, go through those important surface marking, which you will find at the end of each chapter. There's a para given surface marking. This is the latest thing. See, surface marking is the only point where where the examiner can test your applied knowledge of anatomy. Please note it down. A question of surface marking is right there at the door. Be prepared for surface marking. Clear? Then you have pleura, you have diaphragm, I told you, in embryology also. Plus heart embryology also very important. Then you have chest X-ray, obviously. It's part of radiology also. Chest X-ray is the most common X-ray done in this country. Everyone knows a little that you need to know A to Z of chest X-ray. It's bound to come in thorax. So after moving on from thorax, if we go to the abdomen and pelvis, another big part from the anatomy, abdominal wall. Abdominal wall, very important. Go through abdominal wall, the layers, the rectus sheath, the inguinal canal, all those what these are all important. Last year the question about hernia, inguinal hernia. It was related to anatomy of the inguinal canal. When you have people like foramen, you go through that section, the transverse section given in the your chapter on peritoneum. You see about the boundaries of epiploic foramen, disconnecting what are covering and what are structures around lesser sac and greater sac and your Morrison pouch and all those. You know what is the level of epiploic foramen. Very small topic but important. Then you have portal vein, portogeal anastomosis. You know in cirrhosis you need all those anastomosis. Applied is very important. Where is portal vein formed and A to Z of portal vein? What is the length of it? Is it applied? Then you have hepatic segments. Now that is a very important. Every next year they ask a question about hepatic segment. How many segments? What is their supply? If we cut this part of liver, then which segments are cut? If this is cut, then all those applied. So go to the images. Just have a look on the notes of hepatic liver segments. Very important. Then you have the coverings of kidney, the relations of kidney, including the ureter, the high yielding top. Plus appendix, a very small thing. Position of appendix, you know what are the important common positions, so go through it. These are the small high yielding topics bound to come. Then in the pelvis part, you have the uterus. It comes under obstetrics also, and your anatomy also. So all the supports of uterus and your arterial supply of uterus, its relation with the relation of uterine artery to ureter and everything covering around the uterus important. Anatomical knowledge important. Then you have ovary, you have ovarian fossa, anatomy ovarian fossa very important. Then you have perineal body, right in your perineum connecting the urogenital and anal triangles. What are the muscles? Go through the images, you will have an idea. Anatomy is about images. Types of pelvis, obviously, just go through it. It's a very important question. It comes under your anatomy also, ops also. Urethra. Now, male urethra particularly, you have prostatic membranous, you have bulbar, spongy, penile urethra. Go through their diagrams, their dimensions. What are the important openings that are opening into this those part of urethra? Just go through it. Important one. Abdominal aorta and major blood vessels. Very important. I repeat again. Abdominal aorta, its branches and those branches and the branches of those branches means the sub branches. Example: colectron, level at which it arises from aorta. What are the branches of colectron? It every next year question comes. It could be they can even post direct image of that artery. They can give an angiography. Very important. Superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric, their level, their branches, renal, gonadal. Their veins also supposedly left renal vein drains into which vein and vessels. Their branches of the arteries and the tributaries of the veins. In a nutshell, branches of the arteries, tributaries of the veins. Very important. Then you have the perineal pouches and ischioanal or ischiorectal fossa. Now this is small in the last this topic, perineal pouches. Now it was until recently that they started to ask about this topic. Go through that. What are the contents of deep perineal pouch? What are the contents of superficial perineal pouch? What passes, what pierces perineal membrane? What are the boundaries of ischiorectal fossa? What is the applied of ischiorectal fossa? And your sinuses over there, your trauma over there, everything related to urethral injury, very important from neurosurgery. That question, urethral injury, can say it a question of neurosurgery, but actually it's a question of anatomy. Surgery is what it is, nothing but anatomy, and it's applied and its clinical correlation. So in the perineum pelvis part, remember urethra, it's a very ischioanal fossa, the contents of pouches. How are the pouches formed? Very important. Never confuse what is superficial, what is deep. So superficial is inferior, deep is superior. Just avoid confusion. So these are the important points you need to know from abdomen and pelvis. After revising all your notes and all this, at least see that I have revised these topics. So there could be a question which is coming from this topic. Then you have the limbs, you have the upper limb. Now upper limb is all about your muscles and nerves and your important few points over there. So go through the images. Go through the images. Look, this is which muscle it. And whenever there is a muscle in the image, look from which point to which point is that muscle. Those 2 points are its original insertion. Will give you an idea. Then in that image, look that muscle is on the front side of that limb or the part of body, or is it on the posterior or the dorsal side of the body. That will give you a hint. So look at the images. Now in the upper limb you have breast topic. Breast topic is such an important topic, not just anatomy surgery again, and it's amalgamation. You have clavi pectoral fascia, image, structures piercing, so important. There are so many types. Rotator cuff, the muscular tendinous cuff. What are the muscles in it? The applied of it, the tendinitis, the torn tendons, all are important. Cubital fossa. Now, if you recall your first year MBBS days, this was the important topic which was asked in your exams, in your practical vivas. It still asks you in your NEET PG exam, cubital fossa. Now, Jay is asking us a question that we have to answer according to newer concepts, right? For example, obviously, what is the latest that you need to answer? You have to understand this, that whatever is the latest thing that has come, whatever there is a new concept on anything, is there is a new concept, you have to grab that new concept. If possible, grab a new concept of any topic from anywhere. You have, in carcinomas, the classifications, their TNM staging, they change most of the times. What is the latest? So concept-wise, it is everything. Everywhere you will find the new concepts coming up. Luckily, in anatomy, there are not many new concepts, although they do come, but they are not in such a high frequency as you find it in other subjects. So still, whatever new concept you can get hold of, go for it. Now, after this, we are discussing about the upper limb, the cubital fossa, everything about it. Retinaculars, flexor, extensor. Where do they attach? What structures pass through it? Carpal tunnel syndrome. 6 compartments of the extensor retinacula. Which compartment has which tendons? Everything. Palmar spaces, applied. Mid-palmar space, thenar space, pulp space. It's applied. See, wherever you know by now, you all are done MBBS. You all are really experienced in terms of this academic knowledge of these subjects. Wherever you find that this is an important part in applied, read it twice. I revise it twice. With applied is bound to come. Then you have anastomosis around scapula and elbow. Again applied. Why is there an anastomosis? The reason why do we have anastomosis? Why do we have collaterals? Reason, is there any obstruction or is there any atherosclerosis? The anastomosis they come into role. Applied. Anastomosis around scapula, they used to ask few years back. They have now come to anastomosis around elbow. Very important. Then you have axillary group of lymph nodes. You will study that in breast also, breast carcinoma, normal anatomy of breast. Those 3 levels of axillary group of lymph nodes, what do they drain, where do they drain, everything about it. So you see, this is not just anatomy, this is surgery also, this is ortho also, this is ENT also. So this revision is actually covering not only anatomy but other things also. So don't just think that, okay, sir is saying so many things, it's covering many things. You have brachial plexus, A to Z. Supraclavicular, infraclavicular division. Where are the cords lying? Where are the branches lying? Everything. Brachial plexus. Branches of cords. Everything about brachial plexus. Applied. Why I'm saying everything? Applied. Radial nerve injury, median nerve injury, ulnar paradox, claw hand, applied, axillary nerve, regiment, bed sign, everything. See, it is ortho and anatomy both. Brachial plexus, nerve injuries, new muscles, images. Main muscles, just in a nutshell, muscles around the scapula. P major also, latissimus dorsi, LD. These muscles and your biceps, triceps. You have the forearm muscles, FDP, FDS. And you have those tendons of FDP, FDS going to your distal phalanx and middle phalanx. Images. So muscles, images, dermatomes. Just understand, upper limb is brachial plexus, lower limb lumbosacral plexus. Brachial plexus C5 to P1 normal. You forget about pre and post traumatic. So the nerve dermatome has to be between C5 to T1. Go through this concept wise, it won't be that difficult. So dermatomes images important. These are few topics from upper limb that are very very important. These are few topics from upper limb that are very very important. You have just brush through them. Then we have few topics from the lower limb also, which you need to see. Three important, small, important, but very, very important topics from lower limb which you can't afford to miss are femoral triangle A to Z, adductor or subsartorial or Hunterian canal A to Z, popliteal fossa A to Z. Three very, very, very important. Then you have the joints. Go with the hip and knee joint at least. Go with the hip and knee joint at least. Everything, all the ligaments, muscles covering, images, action, applied. Knee joint, largest joint, you know all the injuries. That covers your ortho also. Inguinal lymph nodes, both superficial and deep. What do they drain? That vertical chain of superficial inguinal, that horizontal chain, what do they drain? Femoral canal, femoral triangle, that deep inguinal lymph node. Where do they ultimately go to? Femoral hernia. I mean, all that. Like arches of foot. Most important arch, you know, medial longitudinal arch. A to Z about that medial longitudinal arch. What are the bones? What are the ligaments? What are the tendons? Everything of medial longitudinal arch at least minimum basic criteria at least medial longitudinal arch. Then if you have time, go with the lateral arch, go with transverse arch. At least look at the tables. Then obviously as saw in the upper limb, we have the nerve injuries in the lower limb also. Most important, you know, the foot rot, the common peroneal nerve injury at the side of the head of fibula. Nerve injuries. Then remember, when you're studying arches of foot, the new topic which they have started asking is your sole of foot. The muscle, the layers in the sole of foot, the four layers of the sole of foot. What are the muscles that are in those layers? What is their nerve supply? I'll give you a basic, a small tip. Small trick is the distribution of the muscles and its nerve supply in the sole of foot is exactly the same what you see in the palm of the hand. I repeat again, the nerves and the muscle layers which are supplying the nerves which are supplying the muscle layers in the sole of foot, they bear a common resemblance with the nerves, the median and ulnar nerve which are supplying the palm of the hand. Go through it. That will help you because this topic is important. When you have dermatomes, as I told you, you have dermatomes, you have in the lumbosacral plexus, so just remember which area of the lower limb is being supplied. Images. Go through it. And these were the few important points, few important, very, very high yielding topics which are bound to come in your NEET PG this year, which is going to happen after 3 weeks. Revise from anywhere, whatever notes you have, be it offline, online, I don't care. And at the end of the day, it is the topic that is important. After revising, just have a checklist that you have revised at least these or not. Whatever is left over here, go and revise it. That will complete your revision. On the other hand, if you have not done any revision, if you have not done first-hand study, at least see these points before attempting the exam. As I told you in the initial, believe in miracles. You don't know what can happen. You have no idea what can happen on that day, so believe in miracles. Do the maximum amount of hard work you can do in this last 2 to 3 weeks. Give all you have. Because when you will give all you have, you won't be having any time to hear any negativity or anything from here to there. Revise from whatever you have, whatever images, whatever notes you have. Give your best shot. Just hope your hard work pays off. You get good ranks. You get the dream branch. Remember, these 3 weeks can change or not can. They will change your whole life. They will change your whole life. So I just move through the previous slides. So if you are not noted down, just put note from this lower limb topics to the upper limb topics. Go through this abdomen, pelvis topics, thorax topics, neuroanatomy topics, head and neck. Then you have histology, embryology, and general anatomy topics. These were the few subdivisions of anatomy. Revise it. All the best. Go through your best shot. And remember, all the best. And here's a small quote to end this, that practice like you have never won. So right, this is the time when you are practicing. Forget that 5 years back you cracked that NEET PMT, you secured a rank this in your state, or you secured this rank in your all India ranking was your this. Forget about everything. 5 years is a huge amount of time. Now things are again back to zero. So practice like you have never won. Practice like you have never won. And after practicing like you have never won, perform like you have never lost. That will come on the day of 6th of Jan. In your exam center, you should be confident, be no confusion. Perform like you have never lost. So if you have failed in your NEET PMT, you have failed in a professional examination, you have failed in here and there, we all have failures. We all have failures. That is nothing to worry about. We all have failures, right, from top to bottom. So at the exam, perform like you have never lost. So forget about everything. Forget about all your losses. Perform on that day on 6th of Jan. It is an evening exam, so it is good for the students who are who study late by 2 or 3 in the night. So it is good for them. You can wake up at the around 11 or 12 in the day, and you can reach the exam center. It is much of a problem. Now there is a question that what would the best way to learn the dermatomes and brachial plexus? See, to learn the dermatomes on brachial plexus and brachial plexus, you have to understand that dermatomes is from cervical to your sacral and coccygeal. So the whole body, you have to imagine it has to be a trunk having the dermatomes apart, just except the C1. C1 has no dermatome, it has only muscular supply. And these limbs, the upper and the lower limbs, they are actually the projections from your trunk. So when these limbs they are projecting from your trunk, just imagine you being embryo and there's only the trunk, and these limbs are projecting from your trunk. So when these limbs project, they take the nerves along with it. So this upper limb takes along the brachial plexus. Therefore, you have the upper part of the upper limb having the C5 and all, lower part having T1, T2. And same goes with the lower limb. As the lower limb comes down from the trunk, it will take a lumbosacral plexus with it, and therefore the dermatomes of the lower limb will be like this. Just one more point over here is that the rotation of limbs, if you recall embryology, is a 90 degrees on the opposite side of both the upper and lower limbs. So at the end of the day, when the development is done, development is finished in embryology, you have 180-degree variation from upper and lower limb. So your thumb in the upper limb lies laterally and your great toe in the lower limb lies medially. There is a 180-degree. So that is a small point during the pulling of the limbs from the trunk. They rotated in different directions. So just remember, brachial plexus root value goes to upper limb. Lumbosacral plexus root value goes to lower limb. Rest you have the trunk, you have a common trunk, and this head and neck you have the cranial nerves taking care of this head and neck region. So don't worry about that. You have the cranial nerves, your trigeminal nerve, and your cervical plexus for your head and your neck. This is how you have to reach. So go through the image of dermatomes. Remember a couple of points I just told you that will help you in remembering the dermatomes in general. Don't look at the image and make a concept. Give it 5 minutes. Give it 5 minutes. Look at the image and try to focus on the image and give it 5 minutes and understand the limbs are coming out. So how will you do it? So that is how we should go with the dermatome, because that is an important topic. Questions do come, be it your image-based question or theoretical question. When they have asked the dermatome of thumb, they have asked the dermatome of great toe, they have asked large number of dermatomes. So all the best, guys. You know you can do it and you will do it. Just practice right now like you have never won. So forget about your previous achievements. Focus. You don't have any time to think of anything else. Study. Perform on the day of exam like you have never lost. Your confidence should be sky high on that day. Yeah. All the best. Thank you so much for listening, and all the best. And any problem, anything, any confusion, you can easily reach me on my Facebook page or anything. Yeah, thank you so much.